Well, I've been elected for the past 8 years. Lost my most recent re-election, unfortunately. But this is giving me an opportunity now to run for a state party chair, and I'm looking forward to helping to ultimately shape what the new, if you will, Democratic Party in the state of Florida looks like. I actually have some very interesting ties to Orange County. My sister's a graduate of UCF and was a longtime resident of Orange County until very, very recently. As a matter of fact, she just moved to Virginia. But in her time here, she worked for a number of nonprofits, of which her brother, being a state representative and senator, kind of helped move some of her folks along. So I've had a great affinity for the folks of Orange County, and especially the Orlando region, now for a number of years. What I would say for those who don't know me is that my commitment is to communities that have oftentimes had no voice. Those are ultimately the areas I represented as an elected official. So it made me sort of very attuned to some of the concerns of communities like that. Why is that important? Because oftentimes Democrats, those of us sort of in the Democratic know, will too often talk in a bubble about the communities that feel as though they haven't been served. And those individuals are exactly the energy and attitudes that we need to tap into in order to make ourselves more viable as Democrats, more importantly, move our collective agenda forward. Absolutely. I mean, it really boils down to an attitude change. Is that and as simple as that may sound, what I mean by that is if you believe yourself to be a winner, then that'll make you more apt to do the things necessary to win. Train harder, work harder, develop a winning attitude. And so we have to, again, believe in our own strengths and viability. So the message that we send out to folks, we have to believe it. More importantly, we have to practice it. So we can't talk about believing in things like raising the minimum wage or tougher environmental standards or gun control and not be active participants in moving those agendas forward. And so that's really what I bring to the table, is making sure that we practice what we preach. I think one thing that's can be said about all the candidates in this race is we all bring unique talents to the table. I think my talent, more so than anyone else, is not being afraid to literally fight for those causes that aren't sexy, that maybe are a little tough for some folks to sort of understand initially. But the reason I fight for those things is because I understand that there's a greater good and a need to coalesce around folks who may not have the same level of political power, whether it be things like immigrant rights, social justice, environmental justice. Being on the front lines, being the visible representative of moving that agenda forward, I think is essential in a leader, and I think that's what I bring to the table. Well, I mean, for Orlando specifically, the fact that they didn't win an NBA championship with Shaq and Penny back in the day still stings with me. Even as a Michael Jordan Bulls fan. But even though being facetious, I think folks need to understand that I've literally gotten in my car and traveled from Key West to Pensacola. Not a lot of folks can say that they've touched both ends of the state, but I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have. And what I find is that you have a lot of folks who want to believe in something as it pertains politically, but are turned off by the unsavory nature of politics. And so what folks, not only in this community but across the state, need to understand is that even though I may have to get involved in the fray of politics, my heart, my desire, and my want is to keep them buffered from the unsavory side, but understand that they, when it's all said and done and the dust settles, that there is someone out there working on their behalf and towards their best interest. And so that's what I hope they understand about me, and encourage them to use the beauty of the internet and find out a little bit more about me.